Welcome to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yachts, and today is part 5 of my interview with Tom Ackerman. He is a cinematographer for the films Beetlejuice and Ackerman. Enjoy. So wrapping up, what was it like working with Jerry and David Zucker? Now, you worked with them in multiple films, but talk a little bit about that experience.
It was a great experience. Working with the Zuckers, working with Jerry and David Zucker is a genuine pleasure, one that every cinematographer ought to have, because they write scripts and direct scripts that are inherently lens ready. They're ready to roll. And that doesn't mean that each shot is spelled out or written for your instruction. That's kind of an amateurish way. They wouldn't be caught dead doing that. But what they do is make a concept so vivid that the individual shots, if you're paying attention, and it's hard not to, are going to take you to the desired endpoint. And along the way, there's going to be a lot of laughs. The Zuckers is that they are masters of comedy, and they know visual comedy. And they love absurdist comedy, all of which came together on Rat Race. I think of the scene we shot with the two ne'er-do-well brothers who fake an accident by tripping an unwitting lady who tumbles dramatically to the bottom of the staircase. And they run down to render aid and presumably set this whole thing up as a scam. Meanwhile, Gloria Allred appears on an upper balcony and says, "I'm Gloria Allred. I'll be right down."
They're thinking they're going to get away with it. Like, who's going to see this? Oh wait, here we've got Gloria Allred's on the case. It'd be like, we need a cop, and Barnaby Jones shows up or something.
Yeah, nobody saw that. Just one of the strongest personal injury lawyers in the country.
Yeah,
but
you're not the one you want to fall into.
There were a lot of things in shooting both that and I also did that was a lot of fun to shoot was Scary Movie 4. Basically sent up and spoofed some of the recent releases that year or the preceding year that would make good joke fodder. And of course, the thing about a spoof film is that in order for it to be funny to an audience, the audience has to be familiar enough with the material to know the jokes. Some of them are big and broad and funny, but unless you know the context, spoof-wise, it don't really make a lot of sense. I remember, perhaps we all remember, the infamous interview that Tom Cruise gave to Oprah Winfrey, childishly, over the top. He was so enthusiastic. He was all over the place. I mean, it was like the talk of the town. Over the top, Tom Cruise talks to Oprah. That scene takes place with a woman playing Oprah, who is a great, who does a great job.
She was on Mad TV, I believe. The person.
So the woman who mimics Oprah is really good, and of course it's our hero Tom, the dad, in the Tom Cruise bit. But they take it way further than in the original film, to the point where he continues to become more and more ebullient and just absolutely loses himself in it insanely, and starts running back and forth, swinging on a curtain. He swings across the set on a curtain, finally coming to rest on the sofa next to the Oprah imitator, where he proceeds to literally they have the expression, chew the scenery. Well, he starts to physically rip the sofa cushions apart and eat them. And it's about as unglued as you will ever witness on a major motion picture. It's really crazy.
Yeah, he like kind of they take that idea of him jumping on the couch and just like embellish it and go, So yeah, no, that's funny. Okay, so this brings us to kind of now current times. So, what brought you to University of North Carolina School of the Arts?
What brought me to the UNCSA School of the Arts? Good question. That decision came in 2008, actually. The fall of 2008, I had an offer to come out to the school to teach cinematography. And the offer came from Jordan Kerner, who was at that time the new dean of the School of Filmmaking. Jordan and I had worked together on a couple of movies, and it was a delightful experience. George of the Jungle being one of them. I knew that if Jordan was asking me to come out to North Carolina, sight unseen, and it was sight unseen. I had been interviewed by the search committee online, on Skype, but I had never physically been on the campus. I knew I knew it was a well thought of school, a very well thought of school. They had excellent facilities, and that was about the extent of my knowledge. So I set forth, armed with that, driving out on US 40, more or less a straight line to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. In the meantime, getting a call from a young woman who was doing her first feature in Denmark and wanted me to shoot it. I had worked with her previously as an AD on the Project Greenlight film, Battle of Shaker Heights. She's very smart and very talented. I turned it down. I was committed fully at that time, but I had no second thoughts, really. I had another movie, a studio film that was offered that fall, my first couple of months of teaching. My deal had been to not turn down any day jobs. The school felt, Jordan Kerner felt, that I would be more relevant as a teacher if I kept my creative activities alive. They'd already been scaled back a bit, but nevertheless, I continued to remain busy really up until the pandemic. That's what really shut a lot of, well, not a lot. There was one picture at Paramount that was shut down because of the pandemic. And there were others that just never got the green light because it put a damper on things. At any rate, I have been able to continue shooting, and I've done a lot of second unit directing as well. So I'm happy, have some very interesting projects on the horizon for the spring. Well, at the end of the spring, after school is finished, got an interesting show coming up, and then an unusually interesting feature film that would kick in about the middle of summer.
Is teaching something you always wanted to do?
I can't say that when I was a little kid, I dreamed of being a teacher. Might have even been appalled at the very thought of doing that, because it was nothing I related to. That being said, I had some wonderful teachers in even as far back as grammar school, junior high, high school, and college that were all so helpful to me, and they were truly formative in my life. They made a difference. So it's not that I was unaware of the impact that good teaching can have. I guess I was just insecure. It's worked out very, very well. I feel that sharing what I have as a cinematographer, filmmaker, is worth the effort that it sometimes takes to burn the candle at both ends. And so far, the schedule has been at times stretched, but it has always worked. And there have been a couple of really nice things that where I was able to films that where I was able to take students with me either as interns, paid interns, by the way. I'm not into the idea of people working for nothing, or as shadows. We did that up in Vancouver. Students' value in any teacher, I think, is what she or he can bring to their professional readiness. That's certainly true at a school of the arts. If you go over and watch a dance rehearsal, if you watch what's going on in theater and design and production, where they're designing, building, and installing gigantic theatrical sets and lighting rigs, you see a lot of hands on a lot of stuff. And then, not surprisingly, there's a lot of brains connected to those hands. And that's what makes an education in the arts worth something. There's intellectual content that is bolstered and supported by enough practical know-how to allow our artists to be employed once they leave school. There are plenty of books, and there have been a couple of instances, in addition to having the pleasure of getting students onto a production as a shadow or as an intern, I've also been able to employ them as the primary crew. Notably, a film that we shot up in that where most of the principal crew were themselves students, fourth year in the program. They did a great job. And I think that being on a set for 5 or 6 weeks of shooting, even though it's not a classroom, when I bring them on board for something like that, of course, they're being paid. It's a professional engagement, but I say, we'll talk on Saturday mornings. We'll sit down and have breakfast together. But otherwise, if we can talk at lunch, that's cool. But otherwise, you're going to have a job to do. I've got a job to do. It's worked out very well.
Is there anything that you've kind of already answered this, but what would you say is the most important thing you impress upon your students in filmmaking?
What important things would I impress upon the students? Probably the two fundamental principles that I would want to make extremely clear is that number one has to do with you. The profession that you're entering in the motion picture industry can be a brutally competitive and challenging environment. It isn't like a lot of other occupations that you can think of, but you can and should retain who you are, retain your humanity. I tell them, you got, and any given shooting day for a director of photography and for some key crew members is going to have certain challenges, and there'd be a certain level of anxiety that can arise, and a lot of that's unavoidable. Challenges, that's why you get a nice paycheck. Anxiety, if you care about what you're doing, you will have moments where you wonder if it's as good as it could be. But folks, that's show business. And to not have any doubt, to be 100% secure 100% of the time does not bode well. This is not a comfort. This is not a leisurely kind of job. It's one where you take risks and you strive to get the best work done. Now, that being said, that's sort of the professional imperative, but also be nice to one another, be nice to yourself, because the opposite of that is unattractive, and it it doesn't bode well for your success in this work.
All right. So wrapping up here, do you have beginning of the day routine?
My beginning of the day routine invariably starts with a little cat tugging on my sleeve because her clock says it's time to eat. And invariably it's around 7:05. She's very regular. So I attend to that, knowing that to be negligent in that duty will result in the furry one pestering me incessantly until she gets breakfast. Next, I make coffee. Then I generally settle into a super comfortable chair in our master bedroom. And while my wife sips her coffee and does her morning reading, I'm usually engaged in reading and or writing something. It may be relatively lightweight. I kind of like to venture off into the silliest topic that you can come across on the internet. And yeah, I'd like to see that footage of the dog and cat that have become best friends and go swimming together or whatever,
Yeah.
It could be that mindless, or things of incomparable importance and significance, socially and historically. At any rate, it's internet consumption of material. Then the writing starts, which I have no shortage of correspondence to generate. I'm involved, for example, right now, I'm involved in giving feedback to the writer director of a feature project that's going to be shot here in North Carolina. It's a superb concept, and he's a smart guy, a really smart guy. So, and he writes well. It's his first film. So how to help his already excellent purpose in writing the film, how to fit a format, not just you can learn how to format a screenplay. I'm talking about how to make a movie from what you've written. Well, if you can write, that also means you can conjure up ideas, which also in turn means you can put vivid stuff on the screen, stuff that matters, stuff that's clear, characters that are well defined. And he's done all that. So I've just helped him. I've given suggestions for whittling and so forth. And along the way, mentioning why there might be a visual way to handle this or that challenge in less time, with greater clarity, whatever. It's really been fun. I look forward to doing it.
Do you have a nighttime routine where you're like kind of winding down?
Yes. Nighttime would be anticipating and then consuming a lovely dinner. My wife, in addition to being an accomplished producer and mom and former board member of the year at the Santa Barbara Film Festival and champion fundraiser for that festival. In addition to that, she is a great cook. When I say great cook, I'm not like she really knows how to cook.
No,
So
I believe you.
we eat well. We eat very well. And so that's the evening up until about 7. Then we will have watched a half hour or so of news. We get totally tapped out beyond that. It's just, and how many talking heads can you take discussing a point for an hour, right? I mean, it's certainly diminishing returns on that. But we do watch the news, and on Sunday we'll see the talking heads in action. We then go to the screen on the wall to find the best movie to watch, the best show to take advantage of. And when those events have been selected and duly watched, it'll be bedtime. I no longer have the desire to stay up until midnight or 1 o'clock, nor could I accomplish that. I mean, it's interesting. I can still work a very long day, no naps, and at a pretty good pace. But when it gets dark, if I haven't done a preparatory nap, I'm not going to be going until midnight.
Do you meditate?
I don't.
What do you?
I don't meditate in any formal way, but I do. I do a lot of contemplation, I guess, and I like quiet thinking. I like consideration of things that doesn't involve writing or communicating.
What are you reading right now?
Not at the moment, no.
What are you listening to right now?
Classic rock and roll is one thing. Having shot a lot of music videos in the 80s, we have no shortage of stuff to listen to. My wife has certain favorites, and folk music, classical, always a favorite in our, and occasionally I will come up with some totally eclectic and ridiculous or preposterous request of the little orb that sits on the table, that will play back.
The A word.
Yeah.
The ALEXA. I don't want to say if mine will go off right now.
Yeah, right. You don't want that thing to go off, but you say that word, sky's the limit. Occasionally,
isn't it great?
Because I know it, my wife drives her up the wall, but I'll say, University of Iowa fight song. And then all of a sudden, I'm transported back to the football field where I used to shoot sideline photography of the games.
Yeah.
It doesn't last too long, and she's an extremely patient woman.
What are you watching right now? I'm very curious about that.
Well, I'm going to be watching. I like Adam McKay's show.
Succession.
A lot. And tonight we're going to watch an episode of. I'm trying to think of what Craig Mazin's. He's writing. He's the head writer and executive producer of The Last of Us.
Oh, I still haven't watched that. I need to watch.
Oh
that.
Boy, it's so good. It's creepy as hell.
I've weird like that.
I guarantee that it's a must watch. And Craig is a guy, well, very talented. He has been very well educated. He's Ivy League. But he cut his teeth in film with the Zuckers. He wrote Scary Movie 4, I believe. He directed and wrote a superhero movie, which I shot. And that was.
Oh yeah, I see it right here.
Yeah,
Craig Mazin.
That was just way, way out there on the crazy scale. And he at any rate, he is now. Oh, and then he wrote Chernobyl. That was
I'm looking at that right now.
And now he's doing this wonderful show that you'll enjoy tremendously. And no matter what, Craig is a tremendously talented guy.
Have you seen any of the Oscar films that have come out?
Yeah,
like the Fabelmans.
Yeah, Fabelman. I didn't like that too much. I didn't really.
It's okay.
It was sort of expected. It wasn't adventurous in the sense of, I get buried with DVDs and links to screen online because I'm an Academy member. And so I take it very seriously, which means that I get a stack of like that DVDs, and actually twice that high. But it's hard. It's like work. You can't watch two in a row, so therefore you got to schedule it out, and maybe you'll try 2 on Saturday or something. But it's very time consuming because I want to do a good job when I make my nominations. We nominate 10 films and then 5 films in our own category. I still feel I was voted into the Academy in 1991, I think. Yeah. And I still feel like it's a tremendous privilege. I'm honored to be able to
Yeah.
vote. And I just like, there's no way I'm going to undersample. I want to do see as many films as I can. Obviously, pre-sampling based on what it says on the.
So you were part of the group that that nominated Roger Deakins for Blade Runner 2049, which visually it's so amazing.
Yeah, but Roger Deakins has got such a body of work, and I
Yeah.
thought his work was excellent. So
Yeah.
By the way, people often want the Academy member to justify. It's sort of like, well, what kind of hubris do you have to think that you can? Well, first of all, it's just a fact of life, and all Academy members will cannot help but bring their own likes and dislikes and possibly prejudices to the process. And that's the way it is. That's the way it always has been. And I just think that we strive to do the best job we can, and beyond that, we're a human person trying to do the best job.
There seems to be a lot of people that's just like, well, why didn't this get nominated? Why didn't that get? It's like, okay, they can't nominate everything. If everything's nominated, then nothing's special. That's kind of how I look at it. So I'm like, would I like this film to be nominated? Yes, but it doesn't work like that. I'm very happy to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. That film, yeah, I don't think Academy members should be forced to vote a certain way. You guys should be. That's the way voting is. These are the movies I pick. That's how I'm going to do it. If you don't agree with them, that's okay.
Yeah, it's always been an imperfect process, and it's always been focused through the personal lens. And by the way, no one is more thankful than I am, I'll say it, that the Academy has been so aggressive at being more inclusive in its membership.
Yeah.
Long overdue, much needed. And I think that will help to balance our nominating process.
Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I've enjoyed the talk, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Okay, that about does it. I want to thank my guest, Tom Ackerman, for his time. As always, you can find me at Justin Yachts. Please like, share, and subscribe, and consider checking out the YouTube channel. And I will see you next time on the DMF.